Hello and welcome. I go by the name Teemo NA, and I play Teemo on North America's server. And today I brought you a guide for playing AP Teemo in the top lane. My background is I've played Teemo for many seasons. I have thousands of games on him. I currently reside in about the Diamond 2 elo, and I've gotten there and stayed there, um, with just pretty much playing what's meta currently at the moment in with Teemo, like I said just a little bit ago. Currently, right now, I've been playing him with AP. To me, personally, that's the most fun way to play him. And I want to make this guy just to have, not to go into specifics, matchup, stuff like that, but to kind of get a general idea of how to play AP Teemo with runes, masteries, and some other details. So we're going to jump on in with that, starting with the runes. The rune that I usually use the most, about 80% of the time, is going to be Aery. Here in the sorcery tree, you see how I typically have my rune set up, and this is what it looks like about 80% of the games. I will do Aery. I'll do Mana Flow Ban. I will sometimes go Nullifying Orb if it's like a Rumble, Cannon, Vlad, some kind of AP matchup. But then I'm also mindful of my mana when doing so. Maybe I'll definitely get a Doran's Ring in that matchup. So there's that to look out for, but that's the only swapping I'll do there. Here, I go Absolute Focus. Very good rune for Teemo. Um, we're usually running around the map above 70%. We're not kind of in the front line. If we go below 70%, it's going to be a close fight, but it really doesn't happen too much. This is really good when you're running around, at base. You have shrooms out. You have that extra AP. Those shrooms are going to hit for more. The only variation I do now, since I changed celerity, is to do Transcendence. I will go this. If I see that, I will definitely be building Zanya's or Banshee Veil. The reason I do that is because I also get Nashor's Tooth. With all that combined, you get 40% CDR. I try to get 40% CDR in Teemo as much as I can. It's not necessary, but it feels really good with all the shrooms, quicker blinds, things like that. On the last tier of the sorcery tree, Gathering Storm is a very strong rune for most people. It's a very commonly picked rune. Same thing as for Teemo. The only one I'll ever take is Scorch, but I only do that in specific scenarios. I'm not going to go into those right now. Like I said, typically it's going to be like if you want more pressure in the lane, you're poking, doing a Q-max kind of thing, but don't usually do that too much. Maybe like a Pantheon matchup, something like that. But yeah, that's what my sorcery tree looks like there. Next is my secondaries, which is Domination. I like doing Cheap Shot or Taste of Blood. I never really do Sudden Impact. It could work on his passive, but you get go between these two. Taste of Blood I'll take if I'm going to be trading a lot. I need that extra health. They're going to be poking me. Something like that. But if it's like, I typically want the more damage out of these two, Cheap Shot's the way to go. You could go Eyeball Collection, but that's more of a late game. This helps in lane. If we get through lane pretty well, we scale well with other things with our kit, items, things like that. So typically go Cheap Shot. I do like Ravenous Hunter, very strong rune in my opinion, especially on Teemo. The amount of healing it gives you, especially when you get more and more stacks, it's very good. Here in the preseason, they changed to where we're kind of at third tree in each runes, and this helps us go sorcery. We don't have to go in precision. We don't have to go into resolve tree as much. Because we can get the attack speed that we would have got from the precision tree. We can get, a little bit tanky and not have to take grasp. So this is what I typically take, attack speed and adaptive force in the first two. This last one is the only one I ever trade up in. Hardly ever go health. I don't think that health is enough to kind of justify losing these stats that you can, specifically take for your lane. I like the armor the most. Not only does it do well against 80 champs, but it also helps you take less damage from creeps when you're doing your harassing. Of course, take magic resist when you go against AP champs, Rumble, Vlad, Kennen, Cass, stuff like that. So, but like I said, this is what I typically take. I try not to go. I'm going away from Electrocute. Electrocute does have its purpose in lane. It doesn't scale as well as Aery. I never take Grasp anymore ever since the changes and the nerfs to it. I don't think it's viable for Teemo. I still see a lot of people taking it, but the amount of damage that you're missing out, I don't think is worth it. And we can also get tankiness by doing Resolve in a secondary, but also we can take these to help out too. But again, that's for specific things. We'll do that in other videos. Next, we'll go with items. This is what I think is really fun with Teemo. is the kind of items that we can take on him. It changes from meta to meta. There used to be the frozen mallet on hit builds. Well, now with the tanks being out of meta, on hit's not really as good or as efficient anymore. And AP is kind of is taking the reins. So here I'm going to go through my starting core and finished items with a few variations. Here are my very first two starting sets. I either go Dark Seal and refillable, or I go Doran's Ring and two pots. Doran's Ring, I'll take this. The advantage is that it has 60 health, better mana regen, but it lacks the refillable potion, which is going to save you gold in the long run, and potential stacks on a Dark Seal. When do you take these? You take the Doran's Ring when you have potential of getting all in. That 60 extra health is going to be very good on Teemo's low health pool. And also, if you're going to be weaving in Qs more and you want that extra mana regen. But also, if you have mana flow ban, that's when you also can probably go to a Dark Seal, or if you feel confident in the lane, if you feel like it's not going to be all ins, you might take damage from them in trades, but you have the health regen from refillable potion, which also the regen from that's going to be increased from this passive with 25% increase from potions. Actually makes instead of 125 health, I think it's 156. And like I said earlier, it saves you money not having to buy 50 gold potions later on. So that's your starting. Typically your core. This is what your core is going to look like. There might be a small variation. I'll go over that in a little bit. But for your most part, on your core, these are going to be your three items. Once you get these three items, Teemo starts hitting very well, especially the earlier the better. Now, how are you going to build this core? What order do you do it in? There's about three things you want to kind of have a keep in mind. Three ways that you could possibly go about this. Get your 300 gold boots at the beginning, and then you can finish those up later on. But never do your 800 gold if it's going to stop you from building one of these. Tier 2 boots is nice, not as good as finishing one of these. So when I'm winning the lane, if I'm wanting the lane phase to be over, if I'm just at their turret, if I'm killing them, I want it to go quicker. I go my Nash Swords. I go straight into it. That's better against a turret. You're gonna get more hits. You're hitting harder. You don't need to have health if you're winning. They're not gonna if you're not in the fear of getting killed by them or anything. You want to go Nash Swords. If you're losing the lane, or if you feel like you're about to have to go group up with your team, everyone's not doing well in lane phase, you're about to group up, then you're going to go Leandry's first. Now, what happens if it's in the middle, at the neutral? Then you're going to kind of split it up. The efficient way to do that is to get your hunting guys, which is 1,500 gold, and then you finish your Nashor's Tooth. Why do you do that? Well, if it's a 50-50, then you have a potential of them, engaging onto you, killing you. That 200 health from hunting guys, the ability power, and that passive is actually really good for trading. But after that, it takes another 1,600 gold to finish Leandry's, or you can start getting the half items for Nashor's, and then also the attack speed is what you want. It's super important since we are going to be doing an Emax build typically on Teemo. With the Emax build, you want to get more auto attacks out. Attack speed, in this case, is going to be necessary. You at least want to have the 50% attack speed from Nashor's to use that efficiently. Don't need more than that. You just need that. So again, just go a little review on your core items, how to build those. If you're winning the lane, go for your Nashors. If you're losing the lane or you're about to have to group up soon, Leandry's. And again on that, if you're losing and you feel like you're going to stay in your lane, then you can probably go Nashors. If you're going to be doing 1v1s and you feel confident you're not going to die, this is better for the splitting, the solo lane. This is better for grouping up. And then if it's kind of a 50-50, go hunting guys first, then finish your Nashors, then finish your Leandry's after that. Get your tier 2 source boots, and I say source boots, I build those 95% of the time. I might go tabby, might go merc treads, but it's very specific things. I'll go over those in future tutorials. Now from there, we have 3 slots. There's 3 other slots open. Here we have our damage items that we're going to weave in there. When do we pick what for your 4th item, 4th, 5th, and 6th items? So Morellonomicon, and again, I'm going to kind of reiterate this back into the core. Sometimes I might do this as my core. When am I going to do that? When they have things like Dr. Mundo, Vlad. Possibly I'm laning against an Akali with Gunblade. Things that have a good amount of self-healing, and then that healing is going to overpower me. So I want to take that Morellonomicon into them. But typically, that's going to be your better core. Now say you have your core, you're looking for your 4th item. Do they have AD carry Blade of the Rune King? Do they have a Akali middle that you haven't faced yet? Then we might put this as our fourth item. Also, this has magic penetration. Do they have things like Hex Drinkers, Spectral's Cows? That's where that's going to help as well. My favorite, though, of course, when they don't build magic resist. Maybe you're the only AP on your team. Maybe you have 4 ADs on your team. And I'll show an example of that later in one of my most recent games. Then you'll want to go Luden's Echo as your fourth item. The reason I picked this over Rapcap is they have similar base outputs. If you go into Practice Tool, they have very similar damage outputs. This is going to be a little bit higher, as you would expect, but why do I choose this? This is going to give you 20% CDR, along with Nashor's, that 40% total from the two is going to overcome that. You're going to get more Qs in your team fight. You're going to have more presence with your shrooms. Plus, the active on this gives a decent amount of burst. It's really nice. I love having this as my fourth item when I can go it. But if they're building magic resist, this is not going to be an efficient way to go. Like I said earlier in this, they have those half items, Hex Drinkers, stuff like that. You can go this. But they have fully completed, they have Helms, they have Abyssal Mass, stuff like that. They have mods that they have upgraded. Then you want to go Void Staff. I never go Rapcap fourth item. You'll want to go Void Staff. This happens if you have, an Elise or a Mage in the middle. You have 3 APs. They're just building the MR heavy. I don't like going this. Typically because that means they're building against me. But sometimes that's the case, and you need to get that. So that's kind of what you're looking at your damage items. And I'll finish up with some final builds here in a little bit, but I want to go over some defensive items. These are the only 2 defensive items I build on Teemo. And personally, I don't like building defensive items on Teemo. I try to stay out of the way of other people's abilities because Teemo is so squishy. When you get caught out by stuff, you're typically going to die anyways. But sometimes it's not avoidable. If they have a Fed Zed, if they have a Vladimir or a Kennen, their ultimates are really hard to avoid sometimes impossible. That's when Zanya is going to come in. Why do I have Banshees up here if I'm advising Zanya against Vlad or Kennen? Well, that's because there's certain things that have initial engage, like Malphite or Annie. It's really hard to flash those, or Zanya's those. But Banshee Veil is going to be kind of your best bet there. So that's kind of just a quick little tidbit on the defensive items. But I only build those maybe 15 to 20% of the time, it seems like. I try to just get as much damage out as possible because that is our purpose. We want to just get as much damage out as we possibly can as a Teemo. This is what my final build typically looks like in a normal game. Sitting at D2, people tend to buy Magic Resist more than I see when I play in lower elos or against lower elo people. But sometimes that's not the variation. Like I said earlier, sometimes I have that Luden's Echo as a fourth item. Sometimes I don't build Morellonomicon at all, and my build looks like this. This is probably one of my favorite builds. I think this is probably potentially the highest damage build that you could possibly have. Morellonomicon is a great item, but they don't have self-healing. If they don't have, if they have, one MR item, then Void Staff can take care of that with shoes, and you're fine. But yeah, it's pretty much gonna kind of look like that as far as your final item there. And that's pretty much it for the items. I don't like having Rage Blade. I don't like Wit's End. Other attack speed items, like I said on hit stuff, I don't think is as good for Teemo at the moment. Maybe when tanks come back into meta, stuff like that, we might see more of on hit. But so far in patch 8.24, we are just sticking with the AP Teemo. At the moment, it seems to be working best. And let's see. And I'll just show you some examples of kind of, that's all good on paper, but what have I actually been doing? Here is what I was saying earlier. You can see I got my core. My fourth item was Lunens. So we'll come in here. We're not going to expect to see much MR. My other team didn't build any MR. Why? Because I had 4 AD on my team. In this game, Hecarim was my jungle on top, and we did really well into a Rise, and we kind of snowballed from there. And that's why I was wanting to get out of lane. I was wanting to just cause as much mayhem as possible. And yeah, essentially me and Hecarim carried this game. He helped me out, and then I just went to the lanes, and we snowballed it from there. Here we can see the same thing. Fourth item, I went Ludens. Fifth item, I went Rapcap. This was another. I don't think they built. They started building, Hex Drinkers at the end, but just not much MR in general. So I think our damage was good. Yep, there as well. So this was one of those games where I saw that I needed to control it early because we had a late game. We had a cast Ezreal, so I just wanted to get early or on the early game. Um, but yeah, another side note, I always take Flash Ignite. I hardly ever do teleport. There are some situations where you can take teleport, but I personally don't like it. Maybe it's personal preference. I just get more kill potential with Ignite, and we're here to get kills, get fed, get carried, carry the game, get that W. So, but that is my guide. I am going to put the link down below for my Mobifire guide and as well as my Twitch. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment. Come into the Twitch while I'm on. Message. Hit up the chat if you have any questions, anything like that. Also, comment on anything else you'd like me to, say, do. Anything that you have a commented on. I'm open to anything there. I will be releasing future videos in regards to certain matchups and more micro things, more specific things. But for now, I just wanted to get a video out just for the general idea on how to do Teemo. You go into a game and how you're just have that little bit of heads up, how to build, yeah, everything. So we're good to go there. All right, well, thank you all, and hope to see you guys in future videos. Thank you very much.